In January of 1969, Led Zeppelin put out their first album. And just a few months later, they played a concert in Edmonton. And I actually have in front of me the review that somebody wrote for the newspaper in Edmonton for that concert. So if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, you're gonna love this. Now, keep in mind, Led Zeppelin's first album hadn't been out for very long, and so they were getting more and more popular. And then to actually have this concert review is really fun to listen to. I think you're going to get a huge kick out of this. And if those of you that are actually watching this and not just listening to it, you'll see that I have the newspaper up on the screen, and you can see the picture there. They took a picture of the band playing. There's Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, John Bonham. And anyway, just kind of fascinating. So here's the article, and it's called Hot Rock Band Loud Frenzied. So I'm going to read this article to you. I think you're going to love this. So, all right. So here's the article. Led Zeppelin is brutal. The hottest new rock band from Britain stalked on stage at the Gardens Friday and let loose an earthquake of sound and frenzy. Their music's loud, almost to the point of pain, but they don't use volume to cover up deficiencies. And then there's a subhead, part of the attack. The volume is part of their attack. They don't titillate or tease audiences to share their inspiration. Instead, they blast out with raw, jagged power, enough to bust a new door into your brain. They use their instruments like a brush and palette, creating frenzied visions that tumble through space and time. The visions have such deadly fascination that you can't bear to blink an ear. But they're flung out like hammers so that it's hard not to duck in self-protection. Led Zeppelin is probably the most aggressive, masculine rock group anywhere. They batter at the mind and ear, insisting that they will penetrate. And then there's another subhead, 12 hours. Because of the Air Canada strike, the group spent 12 hours getting to Edmonton, but they didn't let fatigue affect their performance. Their whole approach depends on being able to rouse themselves to a high pitch of excitement and mounting all-out war in an attempt to bring audiences along with them. For every performance, they must wrench and share what they have inside. Like other artists, rock musicians strive to lift up their audiences to a higher level, whether it be of emotion or thought. Led Zeppelin compels excitement and involvement. If an audience retains detachment or any kind of objectivity, their performance becomes meaningless. And then the subhead, powerful pair. The most powerful members of the group on stage are guitarist Jimmy Page and singer Robert Plant. Their movements are charged with quivering nerves, and the tension and complete accord between them heightens the electricity. Plant, 21, has a powerful moaning voice that's easily heard above the din of the instruments. Page, 23, is a genius on the guitar. He creates soaring pictures of the future by using a violin bow on the guitar, plucks trumpet sounds out of the air, and is easily the most inventive, imaginative guitarist I've, going up to the top, heard. He got a standing ovation for a 20-minute solo. Drummer John Bonham, 21, is almost as inventive as Page. He must have 4 arms to play the way he does. Bassist John Paul Jones, 22, plugs along at the bottom of the sound, adding a foundation. Led Zeppelin's been together only since late last year. The result of their first 2 weeks together is the album Led Zeppelin, currently number 3 on CHED's chart. As I recall, by the way, CHED, I think that was a radio station, if I'm not mistaken. Page started looking for musicians after the Yardbirds broke up in 1968. Besides Page, the Yardbirds produced Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck. Both Page and Jones had been arrangers and studio musicians working with people like Donovan and the Rolling Stones. They got together while working on Donovan's Hurdy-Gurdy Man album. I am going to admit to you right now, even though I'm a Led Zeppelin fan, I had no idea about that. I don't remember the song The hurdy-gurdy man is putting his... I can't sing exactly. That sounds silly. Donovan's hurdy-gurdy man. I had no idea those two worked on that. I actually really like that song, the hurdy-gurdy man, Donovan. Wow, that's super interesting. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to get off. Then they heard Bonham and Plant, and Led Zeppelin was formed. Page said, I can't put a tag on our music. Every one of us has been influenced by the blues, but it's one's interpretation of it and how you utilize it. I wish someone would invent an expression, but the closest I can get is contemporary blues, unquote. As Led Zeppelin plays it, it's knockdown, drag-out blues. The other rock groups, the Angus Park Blues Band and Papa Bear Medicine Show, appeared on the bill with Led Zeppelin at the concert, staged by Boyd Grafmeyer of Seattle and Fantasy Inc. And that's the end of the article. That is super interesting. I love reading this stuff. Hey, I'd really love to get your feedback on this. First of all, I know we have some people that are old enough to have seen, that watch these videos, that are old enough to have seen them on that first tour, or actually, if you've seen any of the Led Zeppelin tours, I'd love to get your feedback on these things, but especially going back to that first one, what that would have been like to be in these places and experience Led Zeppelin when they were first on the scene. And it was such an amazing time back then. And then to read these articles, this was written, the Led Zeppelin 1 came out before I was even born. So I didn't become aware of this stuff until Led Zeppelin was gone. But it's so fascinating listening to this and how this stuff started. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, follow the channel. And if you enjoyed this, I bet you know somebody else that would too. So please share this with them and like the video. And of course, leave your comments, your memories, what you think about this stuff, what you think about what was said here, how they talked about this particular concert. I think some of that stuff was really well written and really, really insightful. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And with that, have yourself a fantastic day.